Good evening, folks. So just back with another trade breakdown. And this trade I actually took today, I took at about 4:30 in the morning. Now, I literally woke up randomly at 4:30 in the morning last night and just quickly had a look at the trading view on my phone. And basically, this is where price was when I looked at trading view. So if I just bring on this is what price was doing. Right, we were literally here, and this was just solely based on the 4 hour, right? So based on the 4 hour chart, that's what I was seeing at like 4:30 in the morning. Okay, so when I seen this, I had a look at the 1 hour and things, and I decided, you know what, because we're breaking above this high, I'm going to get involved. Okay, now it's usually outside of my trading time frame, but what I was seeing was like perfect, you know. And this here zone, which we've been paying attention to all week, this blue zone, or I shouldn't say all week, but it's been major key, a major key area on the daily time frame. And if I just remove this and I just go out the daily, now when I go out to the daily, I'm in the replay tool, and this is um basically if 4:30, that's what where price was. So if I go to the come out of this, it's going to basically fast forward to what today's candle's doing. So if I just flick to the daily, as we can see, what we're looking at here is this zone, right? As soon as we tap into this, we reject, tap in, reject. We can't really continue below this. So and we are overall bullish. We are sort of short-term bearish, but to me, this might just be a pullback for further upside. So if I go to the 4 hour again, I woke up this morning at 4:30, had a look at the charts, and that's what we were seeing. So as soon as we broke this high, I got involved, right? And the reason I got involved was because what I'm looking at here is we form a support, we push up, form a lower resistance, we come down, form a new low, we push up, we break, right? And we form a new support. So we close below, and then what we do is we actually close back above the most recent lower resistance, break in structure. And to me, this is an early sign of an early rotation back to the upside. Now, what needs to happen is we need to respect the resistance as support potentially to continue up. So that's what I was looking at, and I basically looking at this area. Price had come down, but what I was really paying attention to was this zone. Now that we're above this zone, any pullbacks and candles failing to break down and we start to reject and leave that area, I want to be getting in a buy to basically test this area, right? And the reason I want to test that area is because this is the move down. This is the clean move. Essentially what I'm seeing is this is a range. You could say this is the range here, and this is like a mid-range support and resistance. So as soon as we come out of that, if we respect this high, we should continue this way. So that's what I'm looking at from a 4 hour, right? That's my idea. And one thing, so when I basically what this 4 hour was doing was actually doing just that. We had pushed down into this area, we had rejected it, and we were sitting bullish like this. So to me, we're leaving this zone, and what I'm looking to do here is I'm looking to take an entry on the break, and I'm looking to hold through this. Let me just change that color to white. I'm actually looking to hold through this support, right, which is from here, which is then resistance, which we've had rejection from. Okay, because I'm seeing this is this what's going to do this? Of course, this is going to be a challenge, right? This is going to be an area, but this is allowing me to get into a position, and I can see what price does here. And if we start to come down, then I could look to potentially manage. But all I want to do is this here. If this closes bullish, this is going to be our higher support. So what I need is I need this candle support to be respected, right? As long as this is respected and this low is respected and not broken, then we have every chance of continuing to the upside. So that's my idea. Now, What I was also paying attention to was this, and it's basically a replica of what happened um, on the 4th of July. Okay, so what we can see here is we have pushed up, we have formed a resistance, we have the high here, we have pushed down, formed the higher support, and as this candle pushes up and we break this high, we continue. So I'm looking for the exact same thing here. We have two bullish candles, we then have a resistance and a high. The next candle obviously doesn't form the support the way it does here, but what the next candle does is it breaks the high. So we dip down here, we reject, we flip bullish, and we start to break. So what I'm expecting at 4:30 in the morning is the remaining 1 hour and 30 minutes to continue bullish, and that way we would end up with a big 4-hour candle that looks like this. And if we can close above this area, which I'll just highlight here, if we can close above this, then that means any pullbacks in, we can look for this range resistance and support to act as a potential area for us to form a higher support, and we can continue that move. So I'm looking at this, and this is a 4-hour play. This isn't looking at the 1 hour, looking at the 30-minute. This is solely just based off the 1 hour. So I understand that this candle is open. So there is every chance that when I enter this trade, that the candle closes bearish or it closes bullish. But what I'm anticipating and basically judging it off is the fact that we have pulled back, closed above resistance, pulled back, we're rejecting the resistance as support, and we're leaving this zone, which is we've had the whole way across, we have rejected this area. So the fact that we're above it and we're rejecting and we're leaving it, I'm basically anticipating that this low here is the low for the daily low, okay? And this basically, this price pattern here, which I'm looking to replicate, is what I'm looking to do here. And this here, higher support, is going to come above this area, and we can look to do that, okay? It might be a bit confusing, sorry, but that is my idea based off the 4-hour. So if I just skip to the 1-hour chart, this is what we're looking at. So we dip down, dip into there, 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. So see, when I actually enter the trade, this is my position here. Okay, so this is how I get involved in the trade. And if I just bring this across here, okay, so this, as you can see, I basically enter as this is bullish, anticipating continuation. But what we do is we actually close bullish, but within this sort of wick region, we don't actually close above the wicks. Okay, so I'm still in the trade at the moment. The 4 hours closed. If we actually look at this on a 30-minute time frame, this is actually a good entry here on the close of the 4 hour because it's formed a support. So then what I'm doing is, in terms of my my take profit is actually all the way up here, right? Basically like a 4-to-1 risk reward. Now this is a higher time frame play. I'm looking to get into a position and see if I can get price moving, because what I'm seeing is, see if we're able to close above here, we are then entering into this clean candle. So yes, we have mid-range levels in between which will act, and we also have this zone. But if we can respect structure all the way up, we should be able to potentially push up to the higher time frame target and basically mirror the move that is left. So that's my idea. And what actually happened was, on the 1 hour, we push up, and if I'm just going to skip through. So if I just drop to the 4 hour, this is how the 4 hour closed. Okay, so 10 a.m. came, we closed here. So what I had actually done was at this time there was the GDP news, and it wasn't like scheduled news. It was basically Boris Johnson saying that he's coming out to resign. He's going to have a news press release later, and he's going to go through his letter and things like that. So at this time, I was cautious of how the pound was going to react, because the thing is, we're bullish, right? Structure technically, we're bullish and we're moving up. So from a structure perspective, I had no reason to actually close out of the position. But because I was in a profitable position, what I done initially was when we started to break past 0.5%, I locked in, um, excuse me, I locked in 0.5. Um, so then we closed up here. So what I was anticipating was, can we actually remain above the resistance? Can we stay above here? Because I wouldn't like price to pull all the way back to previous structure to then continue. Um, so I moved my stop loss to lock in 0.5%. Okay. And when I done that, if I just skip through like the next 1 hour, that this is what happened. So see when we started to reject here, we started to reject here and we started to break down below the resistance, and this was the last 15 minutes of the 4 hour candle. Okay, so if I just bring on my college, I've just made a couple of notes here from today, which is this one. So I closed out with 15 minutes remaining of the 4 hour, given the rejection left, which is what we can see here, and the 4 hour resistance not holding, so we were actually below the resistance. So that is a pullback of roughly about 40 pips. So based on that and based on the press release coming, I wasn't sure how pound was going to react. So what I done was, when price broke down, rather than keep my position at 0.5, I just closed out my position for literally, I think it was like 0.8%. Okay, so I just closed that. And the main reason for me closing wasn't based on structure, it was just based on the news. I was unsure if there was going to be maybe some form of volatility in the market. So I just closed out of the position. Now, when I closed out of the position, the next 4 hour opened, pushed down, and then we started to push higher. So I closed out of that position for 0.8%. So that was that trade. Now, originally my target's up here, okay? So what I then done was I was actually just looking at a price, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip through to where price is at the moment, okay? And what price has been doing is, as soon as we break resistance, we're pulling back in to test it as support to continue. We close above resistance, we pull back in, we test it, we continue. So now that so what I actually done was I actually entered another position, and this is the position here. So currently at the moment I'm up 64 pips, and this is the position here. So if I just take off the one from this morning, this is my second entry. Okay, so I'm still playing out my original idea. What I like about this was, again, replicating what we can see previously. We close above resistance, pull back, pull down, close above, we continue. Next resistance, pull back after closing above, we reject this area as support, and we start to break above. So I actually entered a second position, and the second position was based on the structure based on the 30-minute. Now, the stop loss was below the current 4 hour low. So this 4 hour was still open. Okay. So we had pushed down after forming a resistance or a bearish candle, pushed down, rejected as support, started to push back up. So as soon as support started forming in here, I basically bought in line with the direction the price is going. So if I go to 30 minutes, basically what I was doing on the 4 hour, when price closes above resistance, pulls back the structure, tests it, continues. The exact same thing happened on the 30-minute time frame. So if we look at this and we look at resistance, we close above, we pull back into the resistance zone, reject it here as support, and then we continue. Again, close above resistance, pull back in, test the resistance zone, continue. Same again, close above resistance, pull back in, continue. It's just a replica of basically continued upside and structure. So I'm just stacking this confidence. I've got 30-minute doing it, I've got 1 hour, I've got 4 hour. We're closing above resistances and things like that. Now you might be saying, well, look where your entry is. You entered bang on a 4 hour resistant level. Why would you do that? But the idea in my head is I'm playing this move out. I'm playing out this whole idea. So if we're going to break, retest, continue, there's only one way we're going in the market, and it's up. You know, if we're consistently breaking structure and retesting, you know, I'm bang in line with the direction the price is going. And at the time, if I look at the 15-minute chart, like exactly the same thing happened. We have, let me just come off that. We have structure. Where are we? Annotate here. We break out, pull back, form a support. Next one confirms the support. That's my entry. And then my stop loss is below the current 4 hour. Because if we start to break into this zone and we start to reject this, I can then close out of the position for less than I set out to lose, which is a win. So at the moment, I'm still in this trade. I haven't adjusted my stop loss or anything like that. My full target is actually up here for 4%. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trail this based on structure. I haven't locked in anything, moved to break even or anything like that. So I'm just kind of going to gauge what happens. Now that we're above this, we've closed above, we have pulled back and respected, and now we're continuing. So I mean, if we are looking at what's left, if we are able to close above here, if we can push and close above and remain above, we're entering into clean traffic left. Yes, we have these levels in here, you know, but this is what's most recent, and this was able to continue down without much issue. Now, that's not to say that we are going to get that on the way up, but if we can remain above levels, you know, I would be expecting to just continue trailing mine and look to get to that original target. So this trade is solely based on what I identified this morning, based on the 4 hour chart. Because it's basically based off this. You know, it's so easy to see. We push up, close above, pull back down, and we leave this zone. Essentially, that could have been your buy. Stops below, target this resistance or target this. But I'm looking at the overall larger picture. If we can get through this and remain above, we should be looking at mirroring what's left. So I'm looking to play this on sort of higher time frame outlook in terms of maybe holding it for a lot longer. But again, it's all going to be down to structure. You know, we have a level of support in here that we have closed above, we've pulled back in, and now we're leaving. So if we can stay above this area, if we can maybe push up, form a higher support, you know, above this, I would be keen to kind of hold this position to see if what happens if we can then break through here. Then is the same thing going to happen? Can we remain above to then continue up, or are we going to maybe tap into here and struggle? But let me just see how long I've been recording. So that's a 20-minute video, but that's sort of my idea. Again, it's all based on this previous price pattern. What is great about where this actually occurred is bang on this zone. So it's just all about, you know, waiting for price to approach your zones, seeing what direction we're going, what reaction, and you know, the bias this morning was mixed. But what made more sense? Well, it made more sense for me when we were leaving this zone to do this. And it was just fortunate that I woke up and seen this and was like, well, this makes more sense to go this way. My stops are in a good place. I'm going to take that and see what happens and see if I can hold it throughout the day, and see if we can replicate this basically just here. So yeah, that's a trade. So 0.8% locked in from my first trade, which brings me up to 1.8% for the month. 3 trades at the minute, 3 wins, and then I'm currently floating 1.22%. So it could potentially be 4%. But again, I'm trying to look to play this up to here, and I will just base the stops on structure. I'll maybe lock in 0.5% and see, at least secure something. But yeah, so that's my trade breakdown from today, and I thought I would just add in this because it is just basically how I would have had the first position, only just based on news I wanted to close out and secure. But again, the news died off, or I shouldn't say the news died off, the Boris done his press release and there wasn't really much in the market, any sort of significant change in terms of structure or whatnot. So it, to me, when that finished and that had already been done around lunchtime, there's no real reason for me, for that to then impact the market, because it probably should have done so already if it was going to. So then I was able to see if I was able to get a second position to ride the same idea from this morning as we're moving into these clean areas and above these supports and resistances. Can we then continue that move? So we'll see what happens. But I'll probably provide an update on this maybe tomorrow or later on this evening, depending on what happens. But yeah, thanks for watching.